BBC News. Hello, I'm Jerry Smith. Police in Russia have carried out early morning raids on the homes and offices of the supporters of the opposition leader Alexei Navalny. They seized computers as part of their investigation into alleged money laundering by Mr. Navalny's anti-corruption foundation. From Moscow, here's Sarah Rainsford.
His language colourful as ever, Alexei Navalny said the raids on his offices across Russia were the result of President Putin stamping his feet in anger, upset that his party had been crushed at last Sunday's local elections. United Russia lost a third of its seats in Moscow's parliament, though not its majority, after voters seemed to heed a call from Mr. Navalny to vote against pro-Kremlin candidates. 4 days later, investigators backed up by heavily armed men in masks came knocking at the offices and homes of Mr. Navalny's team from St. Petersburg to Russia's Far East.
The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has denied that he lied to the Queen about his reasons for seeking the current 5-week suspension of Parliament. It comes after a Scottish court ruled the suspension unlawful. The government is appealing to the UK Supreme Court. Here's Rob Watson.
Mr Johnson's original argument for why Parliament was suspended was, don't worry, it's got nothing to do with avoiding scrutiny of the Brexit process, getting pesky politicians out the way. It's all to do with preparing for a new Parliament and a new programme of governance. And the Scottish court, Scotland's highest court, yesterday found that based on the evidence they had seen that just wasn't true, and that he clearly was trying to stymie Parliament from doing its proper job, and that therefore the advice he had given to the Queen was unlawful.
A row has broken out in Zimbabwe about where to bury the former president Robert Mugabe, who died last week at the age of 95. The former president's body is being prepared to lie in state. Andrew Harding reports.
In an angry public statement, the Mugabe family spoke of its shock and concern at the behaviour of the Zimbabwean authorities. The family said the government, which includes many of the same people who forced President Mugabe out of power 2 years ago, were now trying to coerce them into ignoring his own funeral plans. A key sticking point seems to be where Mr Mugabe's body will be buried, at a cemetery for state heroes in the capital or at his rural home. But the Mugabe family also said it was crucial that his widow, Grace, be allowed to accompany his casket at all times before the burial.
At the opening of the first World Vaccination Summit, the head of the European Commission has denounced as intolerable the fact that hundreds of thousands of children are still dying because of preventable diseases. Jean-Claude Juncker said those who refuse vaccines are playing with fire. The summit is being held amid concerns about the effect of misinformation about vaccines. World News from the BBC. Human rights groups say that Iran has sentenced 7 activists to long prison terms on charges connected to their involvement in or reporting on trade union activities. 3 of those jailed are workers' rights activists, while the 4 others work for an online magazine that reports on labour issues. The reporters each received 18-year prison sentences. The office of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vehemently denied a report in the American media that Israel planted spying devices near the White House. Mr. Netanyahu's office said the Israeli government had a long-standing commitment not to engage in any intelligence operations in the US, which it said was strongly enforced without exception. The report in Politico quoted 3 unnamed former senior US officials. A popular musician has been arrested in northern Nigeria in what's being seen as an ongoing crackdown on artists in Kano State. The singer, Naziru Ahmad, is the chief musician to the Emir of Kano, which has been locked in a political dispute with the state governor. Ishaq Khalid reports.
The popular Hausa musician Naziru Ahmad was taken away by the police from his house in the city of Kano on Wednesday evening. The police spokesperson in Kano State, Abdullahi Haruna, confirmed the arrest to the BBC without giving details of the allegations or charges. But the arrest is seen by many as part of an ongoing crackdown on perceived anti-government musicians and filmmakers, which is causing a lot of anxiety in the politically influential entertainment industry in northern Nigeria. Some musicians say it is a threat to freedom of speech.
At least 4 Afghan soldiers have been killed in a suicide car bomb attack on a special forces base outside the capital, Kabul. The Taliban said they carried out the attack. The latest incident comes days after President Trump said he had called off peace talks with the Taliban. BBC News.